Hello guys, welcome to my channel Computatum Cosmos. Guys, today the title of my video is Microservices in Containers. So under this topic, I will try to cover the following content in the presentation. First one, what is the microservice? Why we use microservices architecture, what are the advantages of microservices. Next is drawbacks of microservices, and last not the least is tools that can help you with microservices. So guys, before moving further, if you are new to my channel, please subscribe, and if you are a daily watcher, please like and share to as many as you can, so that the students can be benefited from these concepts in cloud computing. So moving towards the presentation, here comes the first topic is what are microservices. To understand the term microservice better, we need to know first that the containers are the form of operating system virtualization, and this container helps to run the microservices. Even a single container might be used to run anything from a small microservice to a large application. Guys, if you don't understand the word container, I have already made a video on this. I will share the link in the description box. Please go through that also. It will help you to understand better what containers are actually. So, moving further to microservices. In a microservices architecture, the application is splitted into multiple services that will perform fine-grained functions. So, we can say that each of the microservice will have a different logical functions for the applications, right? Now the question comes, why the applications are broken into multiple microservices? For this, first we should know that the traditional applications earlier had the monolithic architecture, which means all the application components and functions are in a single instance. So this is here the term is the monolithic architecture, right? So let's go to the figure to understand better. Here is the figure you are seeing, right? On the left hand side is the monolithic applications, and on the right hand side is a microservices application. In monolithic applications, actually what happens is, in this application are the services of users in a single instance. Okay, in a single instance there are number of services of a users are there, like your account service, your payment service, your shipping services, that is connected to your front end. Now, but in microservices, what happens is, service A, this is your service A, that is your front end, is further broken into number of services B, C and D respectively. Service B here is the account service, service C here is the payment service, service D here is the shipping service. So also microservices can be put into multiple virtual machines, but we use containers as they take less space and faster to look up. Okay, boot up, we can say. So here you are saying that in a microservices, the number of services are divided into different and smaller services, and to handle each of the services is much more easier than instead in a monolithic application as a whole. So now coming to the best example to orchestrate these multiple containers in enterprise environment are mainly your Dockers and your Kubernetes. So now let's see some of the advantages of microservices, or we can say why we use the microservice architecture. The first one is developers will work on a smaller code base compared to a larger one in a monolithic app. I'm talking about this advantage. Let's understand this. It means that when components of the applications are loosely coupled, developers will easily understand the source code, and this will not slow down the development. Second, that comes the advantage is this one. This is responsibilities of the developers will be more defined. It means that a team can be assigned microservices of the application, due to which code reviews become faster and making updates will be quicker, and there will be no need to build and deploy everything compared to a monolithic app. Third advantage, that is this advantage, the application's technology stack can differ through microservices. Let's see through the diagram. Okay, so here you are seeing a user, a service, okay, service B, service C. Okay, so here you are seeing that the application will no longer need to depend on any one language or a library. Okay, so here you can use the microservice. For a single microservice you can use a Java, or for the other microservice you can use a Python. So there is no dependency on any of the language. Okay, now coming to your fourth advantage, that is your continuous delivery will be easier. So this means that unlike in monolithic app, we will not need to deploy everything again for a simple change with microservices. Next advantage is your scalability will be independent to the to each microservice, right? So let's see by a figure, understand by figure. Here in the figure you are able to see the services, right? Service B, service C, service D. So what here it means is, it means we can choose to scale each component of our application, right? Like we want to scale front end, so we can take duplicate of this, right? Similarly, we want to scale service B, that is account service. Here you are seeing the second account service. Similarly with service C, similarly with service D. So we can choose to scale each of component of our application depending on the resources it needs. We did not need to make multiple instances of everything compared to monolithic app, right? So coming to next advantage is data can be decentralized. This is the advantage. It means that you can choose to use different databases or storage for your microservices. Like in you can see here figure also, right? In figure you are able to see for each of the services. I'll make it more enlarged for you people. I think it will be much more clearer than earlier, right? So for each of the services you can use different databases, right? For service B, account services, this MongoDB is used. For services, payment services, you can use MySQL, and for shipping services you can use cloud, right? So CloudEnt. Okay, so the next the last advantage of this microservices will be isolate failures. right? This means an error or a bug in one microservice will not bring the entire system down. Okay, now these are the advantages of microservices. Now as there are advantages, there are drawbacks also. So come to the drawbacks of microservices architecture, right? So the first one is, once your number of microservices grow, it can hard to keep track of them. Okay. Second is the complexity. Complexity here means this one, complexity. Complexity here means the microservices need more coordination, especially when multiple teams are involved. While deploying multiple microservices, it is needed to be considered that how to handle the communication between microservices, how to handle errors to avoid disrupting other microservices. So next, let's see the next drawback, that is finding and tracing the bugs and errors in your application. Okay, so it means that it would be easier to find if your microservice only has one root. But if a microservice communicates with multiple other microservices, it can consume a lot of your time by just looking for that error, right? So your fourth drawback is your routing your microservices. This we can understand through the figure. Okay, let's go to the figure for this. Here you are seeing routing your microservices will need more work. Here you are seeing a figure. It means that we need to spend time in configuring and controlling the flow of your microservices, right? Here you can see a version 1 also. Here you can see a version 2 also. Okay, so we will also need to keep track of your versions of your microservices and deal with its routing, right? So we can say routing your microservices will need more tasks. Last but not least, the drawback is the microservices could consume more resources compared to a monolithic app, right? So coming to the last slide of this topic, that are tools that can help you with microservices are Kubernetes and Istio. So I will give you a very brief introduction to Kubernetes. Kubernetes is a container orchestration platform that lets you deploy, scale and manage all of your container. And Istio is a service mesh that helps you manage your microservices. And Istio can be installed on top of Kubernetes, where it can help you trace and monitor your microservices. So guys, thank you. And I am ending my video here, and if you want any topic related to computer, you can comment and I will try to cover in my future videos. Thank you guys. Good day to all of you.